Welcome and thank you for tuning in to Cryptids, Creeps and Conspiracy. The following content may involve explicit language and materials, so listener discretion is advised.
In which he my screen of walls and the actual assault. Please skip this if you are sensitive. Typically, I do cryptids, I do spooky stuff, I do conspiracy. We're gonna switch it up a little bit because Lanea here does true crime, pretty much true crime, all the way.
Yeah,
And
I don't think there's been anything. We do our odd 420 or stoner related stuff once in a while as like a mental break in between the really hard graphic stuff. Yeah. Whether they be
exactly.
human or not. In order to get the screen to light up, you have to push the button. I'm nowhere near touching it and it just lit up.
Often.
Didn't it just say far away?
Yeah, far away. Well,
And then my thing lights up.
Yeah, and what I think is crazy is, like I said, I work at a funeral home now. I transport people to where they need to go.
You might get some new guests.
Whether that be the crematory or other areas, I take them where they need to go. And a gentleman, I called him Bill, but apparently another name for that same name is Bob. And I took him to the crematory like an hour away from here. That's I was like, oh, y'all need to stay where you go. You don't have to come home with me. That's great. I appreciate taking you and taking care of you, but please stay where you're at or go back to where you came from. But anyway, creeps. I am traveling out, dying. Yes, I am traveling outside of the comfort zone. And because I have Miss Lanea here, we are going to cover a serial killer. To my left, today, I am bringing a cringeworthy story about, again, a serial killer who operated in my state, like right here in Indiana. I'm not going to give you guys details as to where I'm at, but I'm in Indiana. It's a pretty good chunk of land to cover. And the government name of this particular monster is Eugene Victor Britt.
No, I haven't covered this one.
Yeah. Okay.
I would remember a guy named Eugene.
Eugene. Now, Eugene was born in a place nearby Gary, Indiana, which was on November 4th of 1957. I know that I could within a few hours I can get to Gary. It's very close to home for me. It's close enough for me to go, oh crap. I've also been told that Gary is the armpit of Indiana. Not just anything. He is the freaking armpit. Sweaty ball sack, whatever. I'm following you. Please don't follow me. Now, here's a little bit of background on Eugene's father, because as we both kind of discussed, we are going there. There is big controversy between whether or not these monsters are created or born, right? Everybody has that nature versus nurture, that kind of thing. I personally believe that it is a combo platter because while doing a lot of research and listening to a lot of true crime stuff, because that's just how I am, and I listen to forensic files to go to bed.
Apparently that's a sign of mental illness, just so you know.
I have plenty of mental illness. So it goes, yeah. I feel that it's both, partially because, yes, the part of the brain that they associate a lot of sociopath, psychopath, that kind of damage as far as the prefrontal cortex, that kind of damage, that is where a lot of my mental illness stuff is stored. So that part of my brain does not function. Physically, I am structured the same as these people.
But you're not killing people.
Exactly.
That you're not telling us about anyways.
But my thing is, if my brain is struggling in the same way that theirs is, there's obviously an external factor that contributes to this. I don't know what that factor is. Maybe the damage isn't as bad. I don't know. But it's just something to think about. But we're going to start into his dad because I know a lot of people, we have daddy issues, all that stuff, guilty. And it's really crazy. His father, his name was Elmer. I know, right?
Yeah.
And
It makes sense. Elmer, Eugene. Yeah.
yes, when Elmer was just 22 years old, he was arrested for murdering a local woman in 1951.
Oh, the apple didn't fall far from the tree.
Exactly. He had been pulled over and was going to be arrested for reckless driving because he almost hit Officer Slepkovich.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, on his motorcycle. He almost hit a motorcycle cop
Oh boy.
and was going to get arrested. Now it was a girl. Now,
Yeah.
granted, he ran from the officer and ran over and killed a nurse named Mrs. Rose Martha Pruss at 6th and Broadway. She was just 37 years old.
Oh.
He gets pulled over for reckless driving because he almost hit an officer on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
He then speeds away trying to evade arrest and hits and murders a nurse.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Talk about
So
bad day.
Yeah, he then continued the escaped attempt, crashing into multiple cars along the way.
Oh my God.
Eventually, he left the vehicle and attempted to flee on foot, where he was finally caught and arrested on Gary's main library lawn. Now, he was sentenced to 2 to 21 years in prison for the whole debacle. Yep, prison. He went to prison, which was the absolute maximum they could get for him, which I thought was interesting because he killed a kid. He hit and killed a nurse. And the most he could get was 2 to 21.
I think back then, probably their rules weren't quite as strict, like laws, times. Things were different.
It was the 50s.
Yeah.
His poor mother. Now, that's a little tidbit on his dad. So that's his dad's background, right? Clearly, he was a chicken shit. He was a coward. He ran and whatever. He got what he deserved. Now, at age 5, while living in their house on 7th and Madison, Eugene walked into his mother's room, no doubt to probably ask a simple question like all kids do at that age. Mommy, can I have some goldfish? Mommy, I got to pee. Whatever the case may be. However, when he walked in, he found his mother banging it out with the man who was not his father.
Oh.
Yeah. In complete shock of being walked in on and angry that the little boy may snitch to his father, she chased the boy out of the room violently. Now, I'm assuming that's screaming, yelling, pushing, whatever. I don't know. It just says violently.
Yeah.
And then after that, she bought her son silence with treats.
Oh.
I'll give you this if you don't tell daddy.
Nice.
Because that's teaching your 5-year-old a good lesson in his molding age of
how to manipulate mom.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Now, adultery was not the only factor that shaped young Eugene. Both of his parents were violent alcoholics who would subject the children to constant rounds of beatings, which you hear a lot about. Please, people,
that was
again,
quite common
get some
back
help.
then.
Yeah, get help. Get help. If you need to get help. Now, not only were the children beaten, but they were forced to watch as Elmer beat and sexually abused their mother.
Oh, okay. He's fucked.
Oh, crap. Disclaimer, everyone. Oh, my gosh. It's okay. I'll put an extra disclaimer at the beginning. This is a horrible, violent episode. We are dealing with a horrible monster. His parents were monsters. If you cannot handle assault, murder, graphic stuff, let's just say I was thorough. You might want to move on.
Skip this episode.
It's what I want. Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, please skip. Sorry for the delayed response, but I'm going to put that out there now. All right. And when Eugene was young, he was starting to get some disturbing tendencies at a very young age.
What kind of tendencies?
He would hide in the closet and watch as his father would pound on his mother with his bare fists, mercilessly tie her to the bed and brutally assault her.
Oh, and he enjoyed watching this?
Yep, from the closet.
Oh my God. How old was he?
This started that I know of when he was 5. God. It probably is going on the whole time. It's just that he only recollects from 5.
Yeah.
And it got so bad that eventually he would masturbate in the process. He would get aroused watching his mother be violently abused and assaulted by his father.
Oh my God. He was doomed from the beginning. He's doomed.
Yep.
Melissa and I recently went to, it was not really like a TED Talk, but it was like this Dr. Rachel Tolles. She's like a psychologist, and she actually
Stop.
does a thing about what she figures are like the checklist of what creates a serial killer. And you don't have to have all the checklists, you just have to have some. And so far, he's knocked off at least 3 off of her list.
I actually, again, I recently had a nice long conversation with my mother, who is now a lot. I love my mother to death. And when I was younger, she was not the same mother that she is now.
Yep.
I found out some interesting details. Needless to say, I am very surprised that I am not a Eugene. It's bad. Now, it was also found that Eugene was having sex with his 3 sisters. And the sisters were having sex with each other. And the parents,
oh my God.
yes, and the parents would catch them all having sex together on the regular.
Wow. I was not expecting that.
Yes. As a punishment for these sexcapades, the parents would beat the children with thick electrical extension cords.
Oh my God. Wow.
And I can't even fathom. Now, granted, they were forced to watch their father abuse and assault their mother.
Seriously, what were the parents expecting at this point? You're not going to have model children when you force them to do those things. My God.
I know that I know we live in a day and age where everybody's cautious. Everybody filters everything. And I get that. I understand that. I monitor my son's stuff and all of that jazz. Most parents do.
Yeah.
But if you are exposing from a very early age any type of sexual activity, those children, it's not their fault. They are going to be curious. Most kids don't even hear about sex and all that stuff till they're almost a teenager, if not a teenager. They're probably curious. They're watching what's happening, and they're probably wondering, okay, is this normal? Are we supposed to be doing this? And they have a brother. It's there. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying it is logical from a standpoint of that is what they were taught.
Yeah.
They don't know any better. It's like being raised in a cult. You don't know any better.
Essentially, yep.
Not that's a bad thing. Disclaimer there. But I'm just saying what you're raised with is very much ingrained in you, whether you like it or not. Now, a potential reason, here we go, for a little bit of explanation on top of the fact that he was mortifyingly witness to these horrible deeds is Eugene's misbehavior may have been caused by the fact that he was mentally challenged.
Okay.
One test showed that when he was in the 10th grade, he only had the learning capabilities of a 2nd grader.
Oh, that's a big gap.
Exactly. He basically spent his entire life being told by his father that he was ugly, he was stupid, he'd never get a pretty girl, if a girl at all, and just repeatedly rejected on the daily.
That's harsh.
And again, when people are, and it's not just people that are mentally, and I don't want to say inadequate, I feel like that's not the best term, constrained. A lot of times, just from the research that I've done and stuff like that, experience that I've had, I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just saying it's understandable. They typically don't know any better.
Yeah, it explains, right?
I don't care who you are. If you watch anyone screwing anyone, your nethers are probably going to get a little warm. Regardless, it's human nature, right?
Yeah.
It is instilled in us at birth. It's instilled in us all the time. If he didn't have that capacity to process what he was viewing, but he knew that it made him feel good. I know that there's a lot of people that have mental disabilities and they are unable to factor in that it is wrong. They just know that it feels good. They do have a lot of issues with sometimes even like public masturbation or in school or touching this or touching that because it feels good and they want to feel good and they don't understand that it is wrong in that because it is a society viewpoint that it is wrong. And for them, sometimes it is difficult to understand that. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah. So far, I'm looking at the Dr. Rachel Toll's checklist, and I've already checked off 5 of the 9. And we're only at a very young age with him still.
Because my next thing here is at age 15,
Okay.
he finally worked up the courage to leave home. All of this has happened to this poor boy before age 15.
My God.
Unfortunately, as a lot of, I'm not saying all, but a lot of young children that leave home, they're desperate, they're trying to figure it out, they're trying to cope, because most of the time you don't just leave home to leave home. There's usually something going on to make you want to run that early. And a lot of them also fall into the same traps that he did, and he started living a life of drugs and alcohol to cope with the damage that he endured at home. And after the years of abuse came into play, when a woman made him angry or upset, he responded by sexually assaulting her to put her in her place.
Because that's what he knew.
That is what he knew. Yep. I will be the boss. I'm going to be in charge. He has never in his life been in control. And this is his way of getting that control. And mentally handicapped or leaving home or traumatized, whatever, there are people out there that regardless of their background, regardless of their upbringing, this is their viewpoint. They have to be in control. Narcissists, sociopaths, whatever the case, just people, just being people. There's a lot of reasons for this to constitute a reason. I'm, again, not saying it's okay.
You're not giving him
I have been the victim of these people. Yeah. I have seen this firsthand. And there's nothing that you can do as a person. Now, Tosh talk here. Ladies, boys, men, whatever, girls, whatever. Do not ever think you are going to change them. People are not projects. I know specifically, no offense, ladies, specifically women are bad about this. They see a man.
We are.
He's abusive, but they're like, oh, he's nice to me. I can change him. He'll change for me. Do not fall into that trap. Go see the website, call the domestic abuse hotline.
Yep.
Get your help. It doesn't matter if it's drinking, smoking, assault, abuse, whatever. If a person does not want to change, they will not change. Yep. If anything, they will pretend to change for a short period of time until they can no longer hide who they are, and then it will come back. Please do not fall into that cycle. If you see that happening, if you see that in somebody that you know happening to them, please reach out and get them help, because it'll only end in disaster.
Yep.
Okay. And see, poor Eugene, again, all this abuse, he leaves home, he's into drugs and alcohol, he's doing all these horrible things. And then he finds himself in this very confusing situation. One day, in a fit of rage, he was just blowing some steam. Every kid, normal, go home, kick the can. I'm just angry. I get like that. I'm just enraged that I just want to demolish anyone or anything in my path. It's just, it's getting that energy out that is pinned up inside of you that you don't know what to do with, especially in Eugene's case when he has not been equipped to know how to handle emotions.
Right.
Except for one way. Now, as he's, whatever caused his problem, he is angry and he's walking down the road and his eyes land on this gorgeous woman who just so happens to be walking alone down a deserted street in Midtown Gary. All right. Which women should not have to be afraid to walk alone anywhere. I am guilty of this. I am absolutely petrified. I have been assaulted more than once. And to this day, I have security systems all around my house. I have electric locks on all my doors, deadbolts, security codes, security system, the whole nine. I got weapons it's just, whether you like it or not, it does things to you. And
Yeah.
we live in a world that, let's be realistic, it happens. But at the same time, it just shouldn't be. But we can't change society as much as we want to.
No.
He sees this woman and he approaches her, drags this woman to the nearest abandoned house, and ushered her down into the basement. We're talking like this poor woman's by herself on a deserted road. This guy is angry. This is like straight up horror movie. Drags her into a house all the way down to the basement. He doesn't know this place. She doesn't know this place.
Yeah.
This woman, God rest her, man. She's a badass. Freaking badass. She maintains her cool like a complete boss in an attempt to save her own life, right? She's like, okay, I'm not gonna panic. I'm gonna play this cool. Whatever this guy wants, whatever, I'm gonna make it out. Now, ladies, that is not always the answer. Sometimes you gotta kick, bite, scream, claw, scratch, whatever you have to do. If anything, if you don't make it out, you better leave enough marks on that mofo that they will catch his ass with DNA.
Yeah.
Does not matter. Okay. Once in the basement, he removed the woman's clothing and violently assaulted her. The woman remained calm the whole way through, trying to help lower the rage of this man. And he, like, to cause him to get swept up that it was not the idea that he was assaulting her, he was making love to her.
Oh, Jesus.
Imagine being this woman. I couldn't. I was not violent, but I also wasn't giving them the satisfaction that I was enjoying it either. It was, you find that happy place in the sky and you survive until it's over.
Yeah.
That's this woman. Oh my gosh. Hats off. If I'd had a tippet. I couldn't. After he gets what he needs, she treats him nicely that he would think that she cared about him. And I just want to vomit talking about this. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Now,
no, it's not an easy subject. It isn't.
yeah. And so much that she leaves willingly with him and they're walking down the street holding hands.
Oh my God.
I can't even fathom how nauseating, how just you would want to just crawl out of your skin and run. To this day, there is a person working down the street from me. They're like 3 blocks away. They're renovating this house. It has been 20 years. No, that one was 15 years. 15 years-ish when this one guy assaulted me. I had not spoken to him. I have not seen him. Nothing. No contact, thank God, with this guy. I am in a small town, though. A worker was outside working on this house, and I drove by and I had to pull over because I couldn't get a good enough look, but he looked much like this man that I could not function. I literally called a friend. I was in tears. I was shaking. I was nauseous. I was dizzy. Like, I had a full-on panic attack and just shut down because this man looked like this guy.
Yeah.
I can't even wrap my mind around how fucking amazing this woman was. All right. Because of the steps that she took to gain his trust and this illusion in his mind that they were like a thing and she cared, Eugene let his guard down, believing that somehow they were a couple and allowed her to lead him around this random neighborhood. She's like, oh, just come with me, holding hands. Just wait. This gets freaking, I'm just saying, boss bitch, man. All right. She finally stopped and pointed at a house saying, hey, this is my house. Would you like to come inside and meet my family?
Oh my.
Okay. He agreed because in his mind, they cared about each other, blah, blah, and allowed the woman to enter her home. Moments later, all of her family members exploded from the house, wielding knives, bats, pipes, anything they could get their hands on. Eugene tucked his tail and hauled ass out of there and was actually able, supposedly, to escape. But he had a full on posse up after him.
Oh
She got
God.
him. Not only was she had the intuition to do what she needed to do to survive, she got this motherfucker to her house, went inside on her own at his own accord, and was able to tell her family what was happening. And they came out ready to whoop his ass. That woman.
It's a lot of strength right there.
That is a lot. He got away from that one, though. Unfortunately, he didn't get his ass kicked. But on April 20th of 1978, he saw 17-year-old African-American high school student walking alone in his direction. That's it. She was just walking down the road. As she passed him, he wrapped one arm around her neck, put one hand over her mouth, and drug her into the tall grass in a field, which you can look this up, between Arthur and Grant Street. God, I'm getting really... I was not expecting this to bother me as much as it is. I'm sorry.
It's a tough subject. It really is.
All right. He then proceeded to assault her, like beating the shit out of her, and then just increased the beating. The more the girl struggled, the more he beat her ass.
Yeah.
After some beating, he tore all her clothes off and continued beating her into submission, essentially. Then he assaulted her repeatedly without so much as a facial expression. Just
oh my God.
Shark eyes. Oh my goodness. Sorry, I'm like, this is really getting me. And when he got what he needed, he stole a unique ring from her finger and ran away.
Oh, he's already keeping trophies.
Keeping trophies, but notice up into this point, every person has survived.
That's true.
Not saying that's great. I just had this conversation with somebody last night that I'm like, I would rather die than survive and deal with it. It is harder to survive than it is to just let go. For all my victims out there, keep on keeping on, because I know it sucks. Then, again, this is April, but in May 9th, it was April 20th, May 9th. It's like a week and a half, 2 weeks from each other. But yeah, 10 days later, aside from the victim, there was another victim at a gas station with some friends when when an attendant walked up to their vehicle. 10 days after this assault, the victim, the African-American lady, was at a gas station with some friends when, again, they walk up. This is old school, right? We still have a gas station here in town. They'll pump your gas, they'll wash your windows. They're amazing people. I absolutely love them. Heads up, shout out to Lewis Gas Station, aka Country Mart. For those local people, you know who I'm at, go check them out. Now, to her absolute horror, she recognized the ring that this guy was rocking on his pinky finger as the one stolen during her assault, and immediately called the police. Can you fucking imagine? You're with some friends. You're just trying to get some damn gas.
Your blood would just run cold, man.
Exactly. And at this point, did she tell anybody yet? A lot of people don't like to report stuff. I understand that. You don't want the retribution. Everybody, especially back in this time frame, there's victim shaming, all of that. She might not have said anything to anyone. And this guy rolls up with her ring and she knows that it's him.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Ugh. All right. Because she immediately called the police, Eugene was charged with rape and robbery. The state waited to take him to trial until he was 21.
That's ridiculous.
Waited. Now, granted, back then, there wasn't a lot of trying a child as an adult. I understand them wanting to wait because depending on his age, it might have been she was 17, but I don't know how old he was. He was born in 57. This happened in 78. That doesn't make any sense because he's 27. Unless the date was wrong and he was actually born when his dad went to prison. then he would have been like 20.
Yeah,
Maybe there was a weird thing. Oh, we'd rather get him when he's 21.
because they can stick him harder.
Exactly. But he was found guilty of 2 counts of assault and 1 count of robbery.
Okay.
He was sentenced to 35 years at Indiana State Prison in Westville, which is actually not that far from me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I want to go there at some point. But while in prison, no lessons were learned.
Obviously.
Eugene made friends with the worst of the worst and spent his time having sex or violating other inmates to maintain control, even though he claimed that he was not homosexual, which that is a thing a lot of times in prison. People will say, I'm not gay. It's just what was available. I don't understand why you wouldn't just not have sex. But I don't know.
To each their own fucked up scenario.
Exactly. But then he was released 1 year early, supposedly for good behavior, even though his incident record showed nothing of the sort.
Oh boy.
Yes. His temporary residence became Pendleton Reformatory just outside of Indianapolis, which is also very close to me. The moment he was released, Eugene began stalking and assaulting women once again. Thank you for listening to this episode of Cryptids, Creeps, and Conspiracy. If you wouldn't mind, please take a moment and give the show a 5-star review wherever you're listening. I know it might not seem like much, but it greatly helps the show and allows people to find us more easily. Also, head on over to www.patreon.com/Cryptids, Creeps, and Conspiracy and subscribe to any of the tiers. Members of the Big Show tier get bonus materials, personalized shoutouts on the pod, ad-free episodes, access to the private Discord server, quarterly appreciation gifts, and a chance to be on the show. Not to mention video versions of the episode. Before you go, don't forget to click the link in the description and grab yourself or someone you know some self-designed merch by me, or make a donation to help keep the show going and fund future events and investigations. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, Threads, and TikTok. If you have any questions, topic recommendations, or personal encounters, please send them to cryptidscreepsandconspiracy@gmail.com or submit them through the contact form at www.cryptidscreepsandconspiracy.com. I would love to hear from you and share your experiences on a listener episode. Just make sure that you specify that I have permission to add your encounter to the show and let me know whether or not you would like your real name read or an alias to maintain confidentiality. Thank you guys all again so much for your support. Until next time, my friends. See ya. Again, no lesson learned.
So, yeah, not reformed.
Yes. In 1995, he took a turn for the worse. Like he wasn't already there.
Yeah, he was pretty bad, but he could be worse.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Cryptids, Creeps, and Conspiracy. If you wouldn't mind, please take a moment and give the show a 5-star review wherever you're listening. I know it might not seem like much, but it greatly helps the show and allows people to find us more easily. Also, head on over to www.patreon.com/Cryptids, Creeps, and Conspiracy and subscribe to any of the tiers. Members of the Big Show tier get bonus materials, personalized shoutouts on the pod, ad-free episodes, access to the private Discord server, quarterly appreciation gifts, and a chance to be on the show. Not to mention video versions of the episode. Before you go, don't forget to click the link in the description and grab yourself or someone you know some self-designed merch by me, or make a donation to help keep the show going and fund future events and investigations. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, Threads, and TikTok. If you have any questions, topic recommendations, or personal encounters, please send them to cryptidscreepsandconspiracy@gmail.com or submit them through the contact form at www.cryptidscreepsandconspiracy.com. I would love to hear from you and share your experiences on a listener episode. Just make sure that you specify that I have permission to add your encounter to the show and let me know whether or not you would like your real name read or an alias to maintain confidentiality. Thank you guys all again so much for your support. Until next time, my friends. See ya.